there, folks. Hope you're doing well out there. Welcome back to the Tarmac Terrorist channel. Sorry I've not made a video in a couple of weeks, but I haven't been able to for kind of physical reasons. Back now, though, and welcome back to you if you're a subscriber, and thank you for your continued support. And if you're brand new to the channel, I hope you enjoy this video, find it useful, entertaining. If you do, think about clicking that subscribe button and you can get updates on future videos that I came out with. So, I've got some really good news, both this time for fans of Studio 397 and Reiza. Studio 397, of course, being the makers of Rfactor 2, Reiza being the makers of Automobilista 2. So, just before that, just today, there has been an update to Rfactor 2. You can go to their website, here I am, and you will find that just today, and as soon as you load up your Steam library, or open Steam again, it will update the game for you immediately. This is an update to all of the official Studio 397 GTE cars and the Occria 07, and what that is they have updated to the new Goodyear tyre model. They have updated the sound for all of these cars. They've also introduced shift protection on these cars, bringing them closer to real life. And they've also adjusted the BOP for each car in the GTE series, and that goes hand in hand with the new tyre update. So you should get a nice equal spread of performance from all of the cars. And I've given it a try. I've taken the new GTE cars around Sebring and not tried the Occria yet, but they all sound great and they all feel really good. But more on that later, because this is some kind of big news, little but big news for fans of both Reiza and Studio 397. Because, of course, in Rfactor 2, there is available, if you go to the Steam library or the store page for Rfactor 2, you will find in their packages, you will find something called the Reiza pack. And the Reiza pack is a bunch of cars and tracks, or assets if you like, from the original Automobilista 1 that were released into Rfactor 2. And it's been around for years now. A lot of people really like it, but it's got quite dated. Rfactor 2 has been updated many times since then in terms of graphics, sounds, physics, the lot. But the Reiza pack has stayed kind of stagnant. Now, we all know that Reiza are very busy with Automobilista 2 at the moment. It's just recently had a massive update. However, I'd like to draw your attention to this post. Now, I'm going to come over here to the Rfactor 2 Studio 397 forums, and under news and notifications, if you go to the thread Reiza pack out now, which was posted on March 18th 2019, that's how old it is, this is the last page. Now if we scroll down, you'll see a post here from last Friday from Renato Simoni, who is the head dev of Reiza Studios and Automobilista 2. And I don't usually see him posting outside of the Reiza forums. I don't see him a lot. Occasionally on race department, places like that. But he's specifically come in here and made this post. And this is the one we're looking at. I'm just going to read this out to you, because you should find this interesting. We are long overdue for an update on the update for the Reiza RF2 bundle. Firstly, I'd like to apologise for this delay and let everyone know we're still pushing hard to fit this into the schedule as soon as possible. We've been somewhat unfortunate with timing, as it wouldn't have been time effective to tackle the RF2 content whilst the new RF2 features were still in development. And now that they are stable, we really have our hands full with Automobilista 2. We are eager, however, to get back. To get back to it, however, and make use of the great progress that Rfactor 2 has seen since our last update. But realistically, it may still take a couple of months before we have a window for it, and another month to get the work done. But we will get to it. Now, to me, that sounds pretty official. It sounds like in about 3 months' time, we're going to see an update to the Reiza bundle, and I think that's fantastic. It's just brilliant news, and there's a lot of replies already in the forum there from people saying what great news that is. Now, for Renato to just come on out of the blue and make that statement is great. But there have been a lot of people on the Rfactor 2 forums crying out for this, so it's brilliant. So just to get an idea of why this is a good thing, let's just jump into Automobilista 2, and we're going to take a car and a track that are in the Reiza pack for Rfactor 2. I'm going to compare the two. So I'll see you in a moment in Automobilista 2. So here we are in Automobilista 2, and as you can see, we are at Virginia International Raceway in the Puma P052. Now, this is a car and a track that are in the Reiza pack for Rfactor 2. That pack includes about 4 different tracks with many different layouts, some of them historic. For instance, the Imola track has historic layouts in there. And it's got several different cars. It's got the more classic Puma as well, the GTE, I believe it is, and also things like the AGRs, several different cars. And now this is obviously the Puma and the track in Automobilista 2. And Automobilista 2, if you've been following it, has just had a massive update. They've done quite a lot of massive updates. When this game first came out, it was not really comparable to anything like Rfactor 2. I have to say now, with physics updates to the tyres, this car now runs on the updated tyres. The physics, the driving feels great. I find the driving experience at this track in this car very enjoyable, both in Rfactor 2 and in Automobilista 2. However, you drive around in Automobilista 2 and one of the main differences is the graphics. Obviously, Automobilista 2 has, running on the Madness engine, has some fantastic graphics, and with Reiza's trickery and expertise in the physics department, it's got much better physics than the Madness engine has ever had. And it's just a great experience. But you look around, you look at the detail, you look at the grass, buildings, the water tower over there. It's extremely well detailed. And then when it comes to things like the car, the handling is fantastic. One thing I'd like to point out though, I'm gonna slam the brakes on here. And as you heard there, we have just severely locked up. Right, so let's that's a point I'm gonna bring up in a moment when we jump into Rfactor 2. So let's do that now. So here we are in Rfactor 2. Same car, same track. So let's get out there. Now immediately you can see that it looks a bit different. Colours are slightly more garish, whilst at the same time being slightly washed out, if that makes any sense. And mainly textures are not as defined as, say, in Automobilista 2. Also, there is a distinct lack of 3D grass, things like that. So, I've got to say, even for old content, I really don't think it looks too bad, but could do with an update, especially places like Imola. Well, the Imola track, yeah, could definitely do with some graphics updates. Does look a bit bland, but I'm using VIR because it's just one of my favourite tracks. Now the handling, and this is an interesting point because there are people that either don't get on with Rfactor 2 and get on with the Automobilista 2, or vice versa, and then there are people who are kind of, they like a bit of both. I've heard people say, we'd love Automobilista 2 with Rfactor 2's force feedback or Rfactor 2's physics, and things like that. Well, if you're in that camp, then Reiza pack. Then you've got the best of both worlds. But on terms of the handling of the car, to me, personally, the force feedback has always felt a lot faster in Rfactor 2. Although, as I said earlier, the experience I'm finding very enjoyable in both. But on terms of physics to the cars, I'm going to hit the brakes just like I did last time in a straight line. Clutch is in. And there you go. As you just heard there, you can see my brakes, if you can see that in the corner here. They've gone up to over 700 degrees. You cannot lock up the brakes in this car, and it's been a problem with this since it was bought into Rfactor 2, the brakes are really quite bad. They're not powerful enough to lock the car up. However, if you turn ever so slightly, even at a much lower speed, so as I go over this crest, I'm going to turn and brake. Watch what happens. Complete lockup. Now, this seems to have been a bit of a problem with some of the cars early on in Automobilista 2, where you couldn't lock up in a straight line, but as soon as you turned, you could lock up, which didn't seem like, well, it didn't seem right. That's been solved pretty much with recent updates in Automobilista 2, and then, as you saw already, you can lock up the brakes. So, hopefully, with the update Renato's talking about, we'll see updates to the car's physics or certain parameters which will solve problems like that. As well as, of course, graphics and sound updates. I have to say, by the way, because of Rfactor 2's new sound engine, even though this isn't one of the cars on the list to have been updated specifically, the new sound engine has made this car sound a lot better. And also, if we just pop out of here for a moment, from replays, by the way, from the replay cameras, you really can see the difference in graphics. And I think that's what Renato was referring to, because Rfactor 2 has now had lots of updates with PBR shaders, light sources, and everything else. It will really, I think it's a good thing that they've waited for that to happen before they updated the Reiza pack. The other thing in the Reiza pack is any of the cars, if you go to any of the cars in the Reiza pack, so be that the Puma or the Puma GT, you can't actually see the cars. You cannot see them because there is no image in the UI. You have to go to customize so it gives you the actual full 3D image of the car. So hopefully that will be something else that will be updated so you can pick whatever livery you like. So, what do you guys out there think? Are you excited that there's going to be an update? Are you excited to try out, if you haven't tried the Reiza pack before, would you want to try it out after it's updated so you can get an idea of what Reiza cars and tracks feel like with Rfactor 2 physics? Let me know in the comments, have a chat about it. Now, coming back to the update to the actual official Rfactor 2 cars. So we'll go and have a look at the GTE cars now. So let's take a different track. We'll go for let's say Sebring. Seems like a good idea to me. Let's go to Sebring, and we'll take out one of the GTE cars. Let's try the Porsche RSR here. So, as I said earlier, this update that's dropped today has updated the tyres. You've got the new Goodyear tyres, updates to the tyre sidewalls, updates to the sound of these cars, specifically working on the sounds of these cars, updates to the BOP, well, balance of performance of the GTE cars, and updates to, what have I missed out? I must have missed out something here. Oh yes, updates to shift protection. We now have shift protection in these cars, as they would do in real life. Now I'm just going to come into my setup and just take off the traction control, because that's what I want to do. And let's take this car out. One thing I knew I'd forget something. One thing that has also been updated for these cars is the engine and brakes cooling. So I suppose heat transference, things like that. But I'm just going to concentrate on the feel of these things now, because I've had a brief ride around here, as this update only came out today, so I've only had a brief go around Sebring here in the Porsche and the Aston Martin. And from what I can tell, personally, the tyres, everything with the tyres feels kind of much tighter. There's a much more... Bearing in mind, I'm going quite slow here because I've got to warm up my tyres. There seems to be a much more definite difference between grip, scrubbing and sliding or no grip, which is especially useful on the brake. I always found that there was a little bit of a grey area between when the brake started to lock the wheels enough that it start to slip, or just scrub, and then full on locking. I always found there was a bit of a grey area. This feels a lot more, well, you know, basically. I feel like I know much better when I'm locking up, when I'm not under braking, but also the feeling of grip going to scrubbing and going to sliding around corners feels just so much tighter. I think it feels a lot better. To me, it's a massive improvement. Again, let me know what you think in the comments. Do you think these new tyres feel better? I've got to say, the driving experience, it's always been a great driving experience in Rfactor 2, but this feels better to me. Anyway, that's about all I've got time for, and you're probably sick of me waffling on. However, if you have made it this far through the video, then maybe you like it, so hit that subscribe button, and you can see more videos in the future. Thanks very much for watching. Here's a song. If you want this channel to survive, do me a favor and hit subscribe. May seem like a small thing,